In this lesson, I'm going to show you the importance of the root note when dealing with scale patterns and our open chord. I think this lesson will help you make sense of the pattern. In Figure 1 is the scale pattern we're using with the open C, as in the previous lesson. It's played like this. It's pretty straightforward scale. It should be pretty easy to play once you get it down. But the root note is C, of course, because we are playing around a C chord, and this is a C scale, so the root note is a C. And in that pattern that we just played, the root note appears twice. Once, of course, right there on the 3rd fret of the A, and on the B string at the 1st fret. So those two notes are your root notes, and everything else is either the 3rd or the 5th that's in the chord, or there's steps that we add with our scale pattern. Now in Figure 2 you can see that those root notes tabbed out for you. A lot of times when we're playing fills or adding chord embellishments to our rhythm playing, we'll have to pivot around those root notes, because that kind of leads to the tonality of it. In Figure 3 you'll see kind of some pickup line that leads up to that root note. And then when you hit that root note, you could play the entire chord if you wanted. So you could use the notes on the low E string, the E and the G note, to lead into that C chord. In Figure 4 we see something kind of different. Same principle, but it's kind of a different phrase. See how it kind of wants to flow towards that C in order to make it sound correct. In Figure 5 we see another variation of this, but we're using the high C. Now in Figure 6 is kind of a more developed part that you might want to play when strumming a C, or if you got time in between, say a vocalist singing, or it's just an instrumental part, or if you want a busy rhythm part. Something like this, using the same principle I was talking about, is we start in C, we don't get too far away from that C tonality, which is of course hard to do since all the notes in this scale pattern is going to sound good with it, but we tend to focus in on those root notes. So here's Figure 6. And for this particular phrase, the root note is appearing pretty predominantly at the beginning and at the end of the entire phrase. Now it's really a lot of fun to sit there and play around with strumming that chord and adding fills like I just did. And once you become familiar with the notes, which you should be able to become familiar with these extra notes pretty quickly, just use the tab in Figure 1 and remember your C, and maybe go in there and try to play some of your own phrases. there's lots of different little phrases that you can create there, and the sky's the limit. So I would kind of like you to for the next lesson work on creating some of your own licks with the scale pattern and using the C chord. And until then, we'll see you.